Hey, Sleepy. Why are you still awake? Oh, what's wrong, honey? You struggling to sleep? You poor thing. Here, let me get under the covers with you. Yeah, put your head on my lap. That's it, sweetie. Yeah, just let me scoop you up. That's it, just put your head there. This is nice. Just take some deep breaths. That's it. Let your head really melt into me. Just breathe out any kind of worries that you're having, or maybe frustration. Are you feeling a little frustrated that you can't sleep? I know. Okay. Nice deep breaths. That's it. Breathe nice and deep for me. Yeah, that's it. Keep your eyes closed. I'm just gonna stroke your head for a little bit. Yeah, just feel my heart beating a little. And feel my chest rise and fall, just like yours. Feel my hands stroke your head. My hands are so soft. That's it, you're doing so good. I know it can be hard to sleep sometimes. And I know you try so hard to let yourself drift off, but sometimes it just doesn't happen, does it? No, I know. You just need to remember that going to sleep should be a time to just let yourself switch off. You know, it used to help me when I was little. Having someone read to me. It always used to do the trick if I couldn't sleep. I think when someone reads to me, I have something to concentrate on, and then I can really try and imagine each word I'm hearing. You know what I mean? I'll tell you what, let me read to you. Stay snuggled in my lap. That's okay. Just stay close to me. Snuggle me. Just listen to my voice. I want you to really, really imagine everything that I'm saying. Can you do that for me? I know you can. You're so good. You're doing so well already. Just relaxing with me. You're doing so well. But remember, I don't expect anything. There's no expectations. If you can't fall asleep, that's so okay. All I want you to do is listen to me and let your mind wander. Try and just switch off a little for me, okay? I am going to read you one of my favorites. Are you ready? Okay. One day when I was 6, I saw a wonderful picture. It was in a book on primeval forests called True Stories, and it showed a boa constrictor about to swallow a big cat. This is a copy of the picture. Keep your eyes closed. I'll tell you what it is. It's just a snake about to eat a cat, but the cat looks like it has a big nose. Are you imagining everything that I'm saying? Good. Well done, good. In the book, it said, boa constrictors swallow their prey whole without chewing it. After that, they can't move and they sleep for 6 months, which is the time they take to digest it. That made me think about all the exciting things that could happen in a jungle, and eventually I drew a picture of my own using coloured pencils. It was my first drawing number 1, and it looked like this. I showed my masterpiece to some grown-ups and asked them if they found the drawing scary. They said, why should a hat be scary? But my drawing wasn't of a hat. It was of a boa constrictor digesting an elephant. So I drew another picture showing the insides of the boa constrictor so that grown-ups could understand. They always need things explained. Drawing number 2 looked like this. The grown-ups advised me to stop drawing boa constrictors, with or without their inside showing, and to concentrate instead on geography, history, arithmetic and grammar. Which was how, at the age of 6, I abandoned a glittering career as an artist. The failure of drawing number 1 and 2 had put me off. Grown-ups can never understand anything by themselves, and children get tired of having to explain everything. So I had to choose another career, and I became a pilot. I flew all over the world, and geography did indeed come in very handy. I could tell at a glance whether I was over China or Arizona, which is very useful if you get lost in the dark. During my life as a pilot, I met lots of people, lots of serious people. I spent a great deal of time with grown-ups. I studied them very closely. It didn't improve my opinion of them much. You're doing so good, well done. Well done. Whenever I met anyone who seemed intelligent, I tested them by showing them drawing number 1, which I always kept with me. I wanted to know whether they could really understand things, but they always said, "It's a hat." So I didn't talk to them about boa constrictors or primeval forests or the stars. I kept to things that they could grasp. I talked about bridge and golf and politics and ties, and the grown-ups were very happy to have met someone so sensible. And so I lived alone, with no one I could really talk to, until 6 years ago, when I broke down over the Sahara Desert. Part of my engine had failed, and since I had neither a mechanic nor any passengers with me, I had to face making a difficult repair all by myself. I knew it was a matter of life or death. I had barely enough drinking water to last a week. So, that night, I slept on the sand 1,000 miles from anywhere. I was even more cut off than if I had been adrift on a raft in the middle of the ocean. You can imagine my surprise then, when I was woken in the morning by a strange little voice. It said, "Please, sir, draw me a lamb." Huh? Draw me a lamb? I leapt to my feet as if I had been struck by lightning. I rubbed my eyes and looked around, and I saw the most extraordinary little fellow, studying me earnestly. I tried to draw him later, and this is the best I can manage, but of course, my drawing is much less striking than the real thing. It isn't my fault. I had been put off making a career as an artist by grown-ups when I was 6, and I had never learned how to draw anything, except boa constrictors, with and without their inside showing. So I stared at this apparition in wide-eyed astonishment. Don't forget that I was 1,000 miles from anywhere, yet the little fellow before me didn't seem to be lost, nor dying of exhaustion, nor dying of hunger or thirst, nor frightened to death. He didn't look anything like a child lost in the middle of the desert, 1,000 miles from anywhere. When I finally managed to speak, I said, "But what are you doing here?" And again, he said very softly, as if it was a matter of the greatest importance, "Please, sir, draw me a lamb." When you are confronted by such a powerful mystery, you don't dare disobey. Absurd as it seemed, since I was 1,000 miles from anywhere and in mortal danger, I put my hand in my pocket and took out a piece of paper and a pen. But then I remembered that I had studied mostly geography, history, arithmetic and grammar, and I told the little fellow, with some frustration, that I couldn't draw. He replied, "Never mind, draw me a lamb." As I had never drawn a lamb before, I drew him one of the only 2 things I knew how to draw, the boa constrictor without its inside showing. And I was astonished to hear the little fellow say, No, I don't want a picture of an elephant inside a boa constrictor. Boa constrictors are very dangerous, and elephants take up a lot of space. My home is very small. I need a lamb. Draw me a lamb." So I drew one. He watched me attentively. Then he said, "No, that one's already on its last legs. Draw me another." I drew another one. My new friend smiled politely and patiently. "You know very well that isn't a lamb, it's a ram. it's got horns. So I did yet another drawing, but this one was rejected as well. This one's too old. I want a lamb that lives a long time. By now I was running out of patience, as I was anxious to start dismantling my engine, so I quickly drew this. And I snapped. That's its box. The lamb you wanted is inside it. And I was amazed to see my young critic's face light up. That's just the kind of lamb I wanted. Do you think it'll need lots of grass? Why? Because my home is very small. I'm sure there'll be enough. I've given you a very small lamb. He looked at the drawing. Not that small. Look, he's gone to sleep. And that is how I met the little prince. It took me a long time to work out where he had come from. Although he asked me lots of questions, the little prince never took any notice of mine. So it was from things he just happened to mention that I gradually pieced it all together. For example, when he first saw my plane, I shan't draw my plane, it's far too complicated for me to draw, he said, "What's that thing there?" It's not a thing, it can fly, it's a plane, it's my plane, and I was proud to tell him that I could fly. Then he exclaimed, "What? You've fallen from the sky?" "Yes," I said modestly. "That's funny." And the prince burst into joyful laughter, which I found very annoying. I like people to take my misfortune seriously. Then he added, "So, you come from the sky as well. Which planet are you from?" I immediately spotted a glimmer of light in the mystery of his presence in the desert, and I quickly asked, "So you're from another planet?" But he didn't answer me. He was gently nodding in the direction of my plane. "It's true, you couldn't have come very far in that." And he lapsed into a lengthy daydream. Then, taking my lamp from his pocket, he sank into a profound meditation on his prize. You can imagine how much his veiled reference to other planets had intrigued me, so I was eager to find out more. "Where do you come from, little fellow? What is your home? Where are you taking my lamb?" After a thoughtful silence, he said, "The good thing about the box you've given me is that, at night, he'll be able to sleep in it." "That's right. And if you like, I'll also give you a rope to tie him up with during the day, and a post." My suggestion seemed to shock the little prince. "Tie him up? What a strange idea. But if you don't tie him up, he'll wander off somewhere and get lost." And my new friend burst out laughing again. "But where do you think he'll go?" "Wherever he likes, whichever way he's facing." At that, the little prince said gravely, "It won't make any difference. My home is so small." And with a hint of sadness, he added, "Whichever way you go, you can't get very far." That was how I found out another very important thing about the little prince, which was that the planet he came from was not much bigger than a house. I shouldn't have been too surprised. I knew very well that, apart from the large planets like Earth, Jupiter, Mars and Venus, which had been given names, there are hundreds of others, some so small that they can hardly be seen, even through a telescope. When astronomers discover one of these planets, they give it a number instead of a name. They call it, say, Asteroid 325. I have good reason to believe that the planet the little prince came from is Asteroid B612. This asteroid has been seen only once in 1909 through the telescope of a Turkish astronomer. Soon afterwards, he proudly presented his discovery at an international astronomy congress, but no one believed him because of the way he was dressed. Grown-ups are like that. Fortunately for asteroid B612, a Turkish dictator then imposed the death penalty on anyone refusing to wear European-style clothes. The astronomer repeated his presentation in 1920, wearing a very elegant suit, and, this time, everyone believed him. Why have I described asteroid B612 in such detail and told you its number? Because of grown-ups. Grown-ups love numbers. When you tell them you have made a new friend, They never ask for the essential information. They never say, what's her voice like? What games does she like best? Does she collect butterflies? They ask you, how old is she? How many brothers has she got? How much does she weigh? How much does her father earn? This is how they believe they will get to know her. If you say to grown-ups, I've seen a beautiful house made of pink bricks with geraniums in the windows and doves on the roof, they won't be able to visualize it. You need to say, I've seen a house worth £100. Then they will exclaim, what a beautiful house. Similarly, if you say, the fact that the little prince was charming and wanted a lamb proves that he existed, because wanting a lamb proves that you exist, they will shrug their shoulders and treat you like a child. But if you say, he came from asteroid B612, they will believe you and won't ask any more questions. That is how grown-ups are. There is no point in getting cross with them. Children have to be very tolerant with grown-ups. But, of course, those of us who understand life couldn't care less about numbers. I wish I had begun this story like a fairy tale. I wish I could have written, once upon a time there was a little prince who lived on a planet hardly bigger than himself, and he needed a friend. Those who understand life would have found that much more believable. You see, I don't want this book to be taken lightly. I find it quite distressing to write down what I remember. It is 6 years now since my little friend went off with his lamb. The reason I am writing about him is so that I don't forget him. It is sad to forget a friend. Some people have never had a friend. I don't want to become like one of those grown-ups who are only interested in numbers. It is hard to start drawing again at my age, when all you have ever tried to draw is a boa constrictor, with and without its inside showing, at the age of 6. I have, of course, tried to make my drawings as lifelike as possible, but I am not sure I have succeeded. One drawing is alright, and the next one looks nothing like him. The proportions are also a bit wrong. In one picture, the little prince is too big, in another too small. I am not sure about the colours of his clothes either, so I have tried this and that, and done the best that I can. I might also have got more important details wrong, but you will have to forgive me for this. My little friend never explained anything. Perhaps he thought I was like him. But unfortunately, I can't see lambs through boxes. Perhaps I am a bit like a grown-up. I must have grown old. Every day I found out something more about the little prince's planet, about why he left and how he got here. It happened quite gradually as he remembered things. That was how, on the 3rd day, I learned about the baobab problem. This was also due to the lamb, because suddenly the little prince asked me, as if in terrible doubt had come over him, "It is true, isn't it, that lambs eat bushes?" "Yes, it's true." "I'm so glad." I couldn't understand why it should be so important that lambs eat bushes, but the little prince added, "Therefore, they also eat baobabs?" I pointed out to the little prince that baobabs are not bushes, but trees as tall as church towers, and that even if you took back a whole herd of elephants, they wouldn't be able to get through a single baobab. The idea of taking back a herd of elephants made the little prince laugh. "You'd have to stack them one on top of the other." But then he spoke thoughtfully. "Baobabs start out by being small, before they come tall." "That's right, but why do you want your lambs to eat small baobabs?" He answered, "Oh, that's a silly thing to ask," as if the answer was obvious. And it took me a great deal of mental effort to work out the problem for myself. In fact, on the little prince's planet, as on every other planet, there were good plants and bad plants, and consequently good plant seeds and bad plant seeds. But seeds aren't visible. They sleep secretly in the ground until one of them feels like waking up. Then it stretches and pushes up a lovely, harmless little shoot, tentatively at first, towards the sun. If it is a radish or a rose shoot, it can be left to grow freely. But if it is a bad plant, you must pull it up immediately, as soon as you realise what it is. Now, on the Little Prince's planet, there were some terrible seeds, baobab seeds. The planet's surface was infested with them, and baobabs, if they aren't tackled early enough, can never be got rid of. They take over the entire planet, their roots penetrate it, and if the planet is small and there are too many baobabs, they split apart. It is just something you have to do, the Little Prince told me later. Every morning, when you finish cleaning yourself, you must carefully clean the planet. You have to make yourself pull up baobabs on a regular basis. As soon as you realise they aren't roses, they look just like roses when they're very small. It's a very tedious job, but a very simple one. And one day, he suggested I try to draw a picture good enough to put this message across to the children on Earth. If they ever go travelling, he explained, they might find it useful. Sometimes it's easy to put off things you have to do, but in the case of the baobabs, it's always disastrous. On one planet I went to, the man who lived there was so lazy, he'd let 3 of them grow. From the Little Prince's description, I drew a picture of that planet. I don't really like telling people what they should and shouldn't do, but so few people know how dangerous baobabs can be. They pose such a threat to anyone finding themselves on an asteroid that, for once, I made an exception. I am being honest in saying, children, beware of baobabs. The reason I took so much trouble over this picture was that I wanted to warn my young friends of a risk they, like me, had been running for a long time without realising it. The message I was giving them made it all worthwhile. You might wonder why there aren't any drawings as elaborate as the drawing of the baobabs that I did. The answer is simple. I tried, but I failed. When I drew the baobabs, I was driven by a sense of urgency. Remember before I started reading and I told you that I wanted you to just remember and imagine every single word that I was saying? If you can still hear me, that means that you didn't fall asleep, and that's okay. That's okay. But I really want you to just keep closing your eyes, keep drifting up. Maybe try and imagine your own planet. Asteroid B157, and just imagine what might be on there. How big would it be? What would be on there? What's your favourite animal? What's your favourite food? Your favourite music? Your favourite colours? Your favourite people? Just fill up that little planet, your planet, with all your favourite things, and just drift up. I'm right here, I'm not gonna go anywhere. Just close your eyes.